Okay, so previously we've looked at why we need to keep records of assessment and who will use these records. But in this tutorial, we're going to look at some organisational policies and procedures that can be put in place to help manage assessment evidence and assessment data. Now, exam boards have their say in how we submit work. They will have certain criteria that we must meet. For example, if a course requirement is that we submit a video file on a DVD of somebody's microteach, then we must do that. There's no two ways around that. The EVs and internal verifiers will check that we have done that, and if we don't, the exam board can impose sanctions on training providers or even stop them from certificating learners entirely. Now, in-house, you will have your own organisation's procedures, and it may differ from learners that do a paper-based submission or a fully digital submission. Policies will dictate how feedback should be given to make sure that every assessor working for the company is maintaining the same high standards. There might be a policy to state how learner evidence should be stored, making sure that it's ready for quick retrieval. And they will also have guidance on how portfolios and assessment evidence would need to comply with the Data Protection Act. This task is going to be looking at some of the organisational procedures that can be put in place with regards to the way that you as assessors manage candidates' information and assessment records. The assessment criteria that Edexcel give us that you've got to be able to demonstrate is you've got to be able to explain the importance of following procedures for the management of information that is related to assessment. In order for us to be able to explain the importance, I'm going to show you the procedure that Brooks & Kirk uses in relation to our paper-based learners. So I'm going to show you their portfolios and the way that their portfolios are set out. The start of the portfolio has the front cover with the learner's name and their registration number. The registration number's there just so that we know that they are fully registered on that qualification with the exam board. Their name obviously is in case we need to identify whose folder it is. We have 3 sections. The first section contains the contact details for any assessors, tutors or any other people that the learners need to be aware of so that they can get in contact with them if they need to reschedule an observation or if they need any support or anything like that. There is also other important information such as our complaints procedures, equality and diversity principles, mission statements, all of that sort of thing that they need to have access to. For you guys on the online learning system, all this is located within the induction section. The second section contains all of the learners' units, so the full criteria all broken down. It has all the assessment criteria and the instructions of the tasks that the learners have got to complete. We will also give them a schedule for any observations, so if there is any observations booked in, this will have the criteria that we're looking for and also the time and date and things like that. We will also have any feedback forms. So if any learners have completed any work, we will be documenting what feedback has been given and also the location of where evidence can be found. Now this is our feedback form. You will probably be using this template to issue your own feedback. So in this section, you will be writing down any feedback that the learner has got. Have they met their criteria, yes or no? And if they have met the criteria, where is this evidence located? So in here, you would put the page number, the paragraph related to that assessment criteria. For some qualifications, we've got to be able to prove how long candidates have been working on a certain unit. So for this, we have a log of worked hours. So for this, we have got a guided learning hours log where the candidate can fill in how long they've been doing certain activities, or when an assessor comes to visit, they can sit down together and work out how long it's been taking to do some tasks over others. Now the final section to our portfolios is where the learner's evidence is located. So this will be all of their coursework, their assignments, any work-based products that they've got, any observation reports, any witness statements, and if there's been any recorded discussions, that media, so if it's any tapes, CDs, anything like that of the actual recordings. This should also be indexed with page numbers so that it's really easy and quick to find whereabouts this evidence is located. So, why do we do this? Why do we have this policy and procedure here at Brooks & Kirk? Well, it's so that people can find what they're looking for quickly and that we know where to store the appropriate evidence so it's all collated in one place. The learners need to be able to find out what tasks that they've got and also be able to find any feedback. The assessors need to be able to go straight to a section to find their submitted work. If an internal verifier wants to check assessment decisions and things like that, they need to be able to find the feedback that's been given and also where the work is that relates to that criteria that's been given. If an external verifier comes to visit, they too need to be able to find any work, any evidence, and also the feedback really quickly without having to trawl through tons and tons of paperwork. It's also a really good way to check off what work the learner has completed and what's outstanding. If it's all in one place, you know exactly where to go, the learners know exactly where to go. Having a procedure for managing assessment evidence can make it easier to comply with the Data Protection Act. If you have got work scattered all over the place on various different systems and in various folders, it's going to be hard to keep track on everything. If it's all consolidated in one place, it makes it easier to keep it secure. Thank you very much for listening to this tutorial.